Hello everyone. Today, this evening, in this video, we will fight against the atmospheric of our world around us, as we always do on this channel, and we will try to think how everything started. Of course, I will not consider the solution of the problem what was first, the egg or the hen, or how the world or the universe itself was created, but I will try to give you a sort of an answer how the stupidity, crisis, problem, laziness, collapse, what we are experiencing now, how it started and why we reached this point we have now. The simplest answer for this question is quite short and obvious for people who are interested in history. The answer of some people who like to dig into the details is very complex, even sophisticated, multi-layered and long, and very often their explanations are blurred. I prefer to stick to the simpler answer because when we are talking about fundamental issues and global issues, the simplest explanations are the ones who are the closest to the reality and the closest to the truth. So let's start. The last 30 years on this planet was actually I don't know if unprecedented, but in the history we officially remembered, because we remember much more, but the history we officially remembered. So about 5,000 years, we know that it was much longer. Sphinx and pyramids have proofs for that cannot be neglected, and they cannot be denied. But okay, this is for another video. So in the history we officially remembered, the last 30 years, almost around the world, we experienced unprecedented prosperity. Even famine was almost eliminated. Maybe in 2016 or in 2007, if I remember correctly, there was some local minor famine in Niger, in Western Africa, parts of Western Africa. But the rest of the world experienced incredible materialistic growth in the number of goods that were consumed, and people get spoiled because they didn't have to fight for these goods, they didn't have to develop other skills to get what they need, and of course they got spoiled. Fertility decreased around the world, where I was always giving the example in my previous movies, also in the countries that were really fertile. Recently, these factors decreased dramatically, and people also get more and more lazy. So specialists who keep the things running, especially in technology-based societies like all of our societies currently in the world, are getting less and less numerous. Their skills and knowledge is getting more and more sparse. So actually, the modern times are I would say, a sort of apogee of the massive man, the main hero, negative hero of the famous essay of Spanish philosopher Ortega y Gasset, The Revolt of the Masses. So, collapse is unavoidable in my opinion, because I don't see the reverse of these trends, and I also see how it ended. So how it started, how it ends, most likely another heroic period. Here Samuel Noah Kramer and his famous and beautiful book History Begins at Sumer. I was recommending it in Polish as well as in English on my channel. I love this book. So how it started? It started from democratic elections, of course, and establishment firstly in Western Europe at the end of 1960s welfare state. Of course, because politicians wanted to win the elections, corporations wanted to have monopolies, stable political system. So, if there is a prosperity, initially there are many goods to distribute, so it's comfortable to support the ones who do not want to work so much, but they are able to make a noise and spoil the fun for politicians leaders of corporations and big factories. So we can just feed them for nothing. For a few years it works, but many people later discover that only losers are working because we are working for others. If we are working for others who have similar salaries than many of those who are really working hard every day for their lives, why not to join them? And that's why the system needs to deal with more and more burden. So this burden are people who do not want to work but want to benefit from the social welfare system. And people also enjoy this easy life. At the same time, they lose many senses, they lose ability to see the danger, and they lose ability to create the goods they are using for the everyday life. And of course, someone needs to work for these lazy bones, so emigration from other part of the world of cheap labor force starts. So we have cultural, civilizational clashes. We see them everywhere in the Western world now. So there are many problems, and later politicians and also sharks of the business, so owners of the big companies and banks, think how to preserve their power. We have monopolies, we have power, but too many of these people we cannot control. Maybe we can control them somehow. So we think that we can rule them with fear. So we just scare them with some so-called enemies, like maybe other countries from other blocks, political blocks, maybe some bad people, bandits, terrorists from the third world. Recently, maybe some micro enemies, very dangerous ones. Maybe soon we will also experience some, in quotation, UFO landings. But okay, it doesn't improve the economical, sociological situation. Demography doesn't improve. Still newcomers, cheap labor force are coming. But nowadays in the world there are not so many places you can take them from. So system is collapsing. That's why we see that even in corporations in Western world, especially in Western Europe, they are not producing anything. They only employ people to keep them as their own electorate or militias, social militias that make protest and defend their ideologies because they have easy positions in the companies and they don't need to do anything. They are like passengers in the bus or in the train. They enter each day the bus and train that resembles their working place, and they simply do nothing there. They only travel through life. They watch sometimes, they do nothing, they watch sometimes the monitor of the PC or the screen of the phone or the window. So they do not do anything, they have no creative skills. So such people are dumper and more stuff with stupid ideologies, so they are more and more disconnected with reality. That's why everything goes down the sink slowly, because if the masses are disconnected, then elites with time do not have to put much effort to rule and control these masses. So their methods of action are also getting simpler and more primitive. That's why if elites, to keep their power, do not have to put much effort to preserve their positions, to keep their positions, they are also getting dumper and dumper. That's why everything nowadays goes down the sink. What will happen next? We will see. All the best, have a nice evening, take care. This is how I see the things.